In tonight's Top Gear, the new MGF Trophy 160. Nissan's fashion accessory, the Figaro. And the Evo 7 from Mitsubishi. Back in 1995, when BMW owned Rover, they launched the MGF. It was pretty, good fun to drive, and it wore a badge that people still cherished. Soon it was the UK's best-selling roadster. But despite its racy mid-engine layout and rear-wheel drive setup, the MGF has always been a bit of a big girl's blouse.
And we know why that was, don't we?
Wicked stepfather BMW had the Z3 Roadster, and they were paranoid that the more talented MG would pinch its sales. So they neglected it.
Leaving the F to skulk in its bedroom like a sulky teenager, dreaming of what it could have been. A proper sports car with proper attitude.
But now, with nasty stepdad out of the frame, the engineers at Longbridge have been free to design the car it should have been all along.
The MGF Trophy 160.
Let me talk you through it. Closely based on the MGF Cup racing car, the Trophy's aggressively tuned VVC engine produces 160 bhp. It has a sports exhaust, lightweight alloys, front and rear spoilers, and its suspension has been recalibrated. It's only 20mm lower than the regular F, but look what a difference that makes. It also gets beefy new AP Racing front brakes with red aluminium calipers. Time to throw away the flat cap, I think.
Do you know, I was getting pretty bored of the MGF. It's been knocking around for years. Some very good friends of mine had one and absolutely loved it, but it just didn't matter to me. Here was a British mid-engine, rear-wheel drive roadster. That was about as rock and roll as Richard Stilgo. But with the Trophy 160, the MGF has turned into the Who. That feels absolutely liberated, and it loves the track. You can just gun it through the gears, savouring that noise. It's much more guttural than the standard car. And you can push it through corners really quite fast, and it just doesn't mind, it looks after you. So even though this car takes its cue from the MGF Trophy Racing Cup car, it hasn't become totally uncivilised.
The Trophy 160 is a ballsy sports car. 60 miles per hour takes just under 7 seconds, and its top speed is almost 140 miles per hour. But if you're too much of a big Jessie to cope with it, other more civilised Fs are still available.
Now, I know what you're thinking. How many of us have got a racing circuit in our back gardens? And if the MGF Trophy 160 is such a hardcore car, well, it's bound to be an absolute nightmare on normal public roads, isn't it? I cannot lie. I drove around. No, I didn't drive around. I bounced around London in this car for 2 days until my fillings were dropping out all over the place. The Trophy 160's ride quality is absolutely rock hard, and generally it's about as comfortable as a rugby scrum. It's a bit of a squeeze in here too, to be honest, and with the rather lurid yellow exterior paintwork carried through inside, well, I feel as though I'm driving around in a giant and rather uncomfortable lemon.
3 other equally eye-catching colours are available, but the 21 grand it costs doesn't include sunglasses. Top Gear has been closely following MG Rover's progress, and the Trophy 160 is vivid, very vivid proof that they're committed to building seriously fun sports cars. There are going to be far more extreme MGs than this one, and it's no slouch.
Whoa. It's a medium rare bit of red meat compared to the standard car's tofu. And it's also proof that, yes, sometimes dreams really can come true.
In this year's Top Gear Awards, the Ford Mondeo took the Car of the Year honours. And in the last few weeks, we've been looking at the latest rivals from Renault, the Laguna and Citroen's C5. So, to complete the set, The Top Gear verdict looks at Volkswagen's reheated Passat. There was never anything wrong with the way the old Passat looked, but VW haven't been able to resist having a little fiddle. They've made minor changes to the grille, the front bumper and the front and rear lights. Trouble is, the new bits just aren't as nice as the old ones. Inside, some tinsel's been added to the dials. The cup holders have been redesigned, as has the armrest. But all these minor changes beg the question, if it wasn't broken, why fix it? This Passat is powered by an updated version of the 1.9-litre diesel found in the Golf GT, but in here it gives a gutsy 130 bhp. It has a tremendous amount of get up and go, so much so in fact that the traction control system needs to be alert from the off. It can embarrass more exotic petrol-powered machines with a small flick of the right foot. It's an excellent, if still slightly clattery, diesel engine. VWs tend to feel solid and sure-footed, but this Passat is fun. A stiffer body and fresher suspension give it the stability to match its speed. Owners now have no excuse to stick to the motorways. Go on, take the long road home. You'll love it. Fresh from the showroom, Volkswagen's Passat TDI PD SE is yours for a whisker under £18,000. For that, you get a bomb-proof build quality and a decent amount of standard features. On the road, it'll do a highly commendable 48 miles to the gallon. The Passat has traditionally held the prestige end of its class, with rivals having more of a rep car feel to them. But now, Ford's Mondeo, Renault's Laguna 2 and Citroën C5 all promise to come knocking on VW's door wearing smarter suits. But this car is capable of putting up a jolly good fight. So, Top Gear's verdict on the VW Passat TDI PD SE is 8 out of 10. Built like a tank, goes like a missile.
Still to come on Top Gear, Mitsubishi's pushy Evo 7. The life and times of the Jeep. And Nissan's laid-back Figaro.
Jeep. Everybody knows the name, the look and the image. And this year sees the one-time war hero and godfather of the four-wheel drive scene celebrate its 60th birthday.
Commissioned by the US military in 1941, the Willys won the contract on the strength of its 60 brake horsepower Go Devil engine. It doesn't sound a lot, but it was enough to get it pretty much anywhere it wanted to go. Strong, simple and all for the bargain price of $738, it was loved by generals and GIs.
And now by me. I cannot tell you how much I love driving this car. I was brought up on war films and it was my dream to drive one of these cars, and now I've got the chance. It is absolutely mint. Of course it shouldn't be. It's ancient. It's got no roof. We're doing 15 miles an hour and I'm sitting on a petrol tank, but it's got charm. I can't believe it. I found an old car I like. This is going straight into my fantasy garage.
But in the past 60 years, off-roaders have lost their way a bit. The sublime Willys has been replaced by huge fashion accessories that don't tackle anything more tricky than a speed bump. However, there are still a few places where you can get back to basics. Like here in the French Alps, where they hold the Croisière Blanche, the mother of all off-road conventions. But first you have to fit your snow chains. Now that's supposed to be seriously difficult, but come on, how hard can it be?
Pretty much does itself, I reckon. Look at that, it's nearly on. Tighten things up. They should be ready to go.
No. Take it off, start again. Flick it over. 2 hooks this side, flick it underneath.
Well, that's pretty much how I had it.
It was the wrong way around.
Well, you know, I think you're splitting hairs there, are you?
Over 300 off-roaders and countless quad bikes come here from all around Europe to take part in a 3-day event that's designed to test the most experienced four-wheel drive enthusiasts and their machinery.
There's tremendous camaraderie. It's the sort of thing that almost anybody can do, even with a fairly basic sort of 4x4 vehicle. And just look, you get into such fantastic places.
And sure enough, the place was stunning, but the whole point of the weekend was the serious business of off-roading. And my chance came at last with a fully tricked-up Jeep Wrangler called the Rubicon.
Right, I'm off-roading at last, at 2 miles an hour, going through a little bit of a stream, and I've got a convoy in tow, so I've got that much-needed camaraderie. But first things first, it's important to know what we're dealing with. The Rubicon has what's called a 4-inch lift. It's important to know all these things for when you're swapping four-wheel drive stories. 4-inch lift means that you get over things more easily. There's tricky suspension I can alter for hard or soft settings, and there's air lockers. Now these things mean that if I've got one wheel in the air at the front, one wheel in the air at the back, the thing will still move. That's ridiculous. Who gets themselves in a situation like that?
Well, loads of people actually, and out on the Croisière Blanche there were all sorts of thrills and spills going on.
You're on 2 wheels off the edge on a big drop and having to jump out and get both the winches working to recover the vehicle.
Once you're over the edge, unless the trees catch you, then you're a goner.
I'll probably never really get this off-roading thing, but I'm not going to knock it either. Each weekend, stacks of people get off their backsides and mess about in cars doing lots of pointless stuff. Brilliant. Unfortunately, because of the posh off-roaders, these cars haven't got the best image in the UK. But as long as these nutters are involved, the Willys Jeep has something to be proud of.
Now I've been dabbling with this off-road scene this afternoon, and I think I've got it lit. So Doddle, I want a challenge. I want to go really off-road, like the big boys, up to the doors in it. Something that will scare me. Off-roading, you can't beat it. What else would a young man want to do of an evening? Now I have got a proper story to tell my new off-road buddies.
If you're gonna be a car dealer, here's a few tips. Make your showroom big, shiny and brightly coloured, and for God's sake put it where people can find it. That's common sense, but it's all been ignored by one husband and wife car selling team hidden away in Surrey, I think.
You know, this couple that I'm trying to find, they don't half make it hard. I mean, apart from needing the skills of an Apache tracker to find the place, the car they sell is like obscure. You can't get it over here. But on top of that, if the wife doesn't like you, it doesn't matter how much money you've got.
We'll get to that last point later, but what you're looking for is the home of Derek and June Champion, where they sell this little cutie, the Figaro. It was launched by Nissan at the start of the 90s, and after a decade of red bracers, Porsche 911s and Gordon Gecko, the world was indeed ready for a Labrador puppy on wheels. Its 50s retro looks caused a sensation in Japan, but Nissan assumed us British folk were more than happy with the drop-dead gorgeous Sunny, and never sold the Figaro here. So in stepped June and Derek. June's a bit emotional about the car, so tread carefully if you visit.
Are those the cars?
Yeah. My one's the green one.
Oh, they're really ugly, aren't they? I was just joking. You're dealing in the car and we're in your house. It's lovely.
Well, people feel much more relaxed as well on it, and there's none of that high-pressured rubbish.
Did you buy the first one with the idea of it being a business, or was it more?
No, I bought the first one for June as a birthday present.
An unusual birthday present, because usually he forgets. And there was my Figaro with all the balloons and champagne.
You see, that's men.
That made up for everything.
We really are like that, all of us.
I cried for 2 hours, honestly, and I fell in love with it. And then everywhere I was going, like, people were stopping me.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I don't know, this might be quite good, really. Eric Clapton's got one that he supposedly paid 33,000 for. I wished I was the person that sold it.
That's why he's singing the blues.
Yeah.
I woke up up this morning, got ripped off on the Figaro.
But there's nobody in Smallfields that I'd sell to. Mine is the only one around.
Smallfields is where we are now, isn't it? Now, why is that, June?
Well,
why wouldn't you sell
I
to
don't want anyone else to have one around here.
What would you do if Eric Clapton moved in 5 miles down the road, if he moved into Smallfield?
Burn his house down.
Something tells me something's gonna happen tonight.
The Figaro costs just over £11,000, is based on a Micra, and comes with a 1-litre turbocharged engine which gives it pleasant rather than rip-roaring performance. And if we're being picky, the ride has got a touch of the space hoppers and the steering's hardly razor sharp. But that's just not the point.
Something tells me something's gonna happen to you. The smile on my face is the smile you will wear in a moment or two.
The point of this car is that it sweeps you back to a 1950s world of Brill cream and evening gloves. And when it was launched, the Japanese couldn't care less about suspension settings. They just went mad for it.
They actually were oversubscribed. They had 280,000 people wanted actually to buy one.
How many were they going to build?
They had a build of 20,000.
Oh, God, right, OK, I see the problem.
So they were oversubscribed, and so they had a lottery, and the first lucky 20,000 people who had a lucky ticket were able to go on and buy one. And it sort of evolved from there.
In his search for Figaros, Dell has had to penetrate the impenetrable Japanese car auctions, where each auction sells 8,000 cars a day.
You don't put your hands up like you would do in an English auction. You simply have a button. Every time you press the button, you just put another £15 approximately on the price.
So it's like bingo?
Yeah, you just press. And mostly the whole package is done in something anywhere between 5 and 10 seconds from the moment the car is shown on the screen.
You are joking. They'll flog a car in 10 seconds?
Yeah. It's a very, very slick process in as much as it's automatically shipped down to the docks, put on a boat, and then about 35 days later you're picking it up from Tilbury, Southampton or somewhere like that.
Over the years, the couple have sold dozens of Figaros, but it could have been more. You see, June has turned away about 10% of would-be customers because she simply didn't like them. If she doesn't think you're suitable, it won't matter how smarmy you are.
It's like one that I had the other day.
Yeah.
And she was just a miserable devil.
Miserable devil.
devil. And I just didn't like her. And so she wouldn't fit the Figaro. You have to be a happy person. And then we had another one that was a bit of a middle-class snob who just wanted it to be a poser.
I want to buy one, right?
Mm.
So you'd be asking me, what kind of stuff would you be asking me?
Well, where do you live? Where are you going to keep it?
South London, so I probably need a good alarm.
Well, I would always suggest an alarm anyway.
Yeah, but around where I am, they'd have those tyres off in about half an hour. They'd be on bricks in the morning.
Then I'm sorry, Andy, you're just not a figurist. And maybe I wouldn't even sell you a push bike. Sorry.
Coming up on Top Gear, the Evo 7 from Mitsubishi. And Vauxhall's cleaner, greener Astra.
Evolution is a magical thing. The need to survive turns the weak into the strong. And if you're looking for a good example, forget the apes and take a look at Mitsubishi.
This, its humble Lancer, was just another saloon in an already overcrowded territory. You'd never have backed its chances for long-term survival.
But in 1992, in Evo form, nearly 250 horsepower grabbed it a foothold in life. It was the first of a long line. The Evo 2 quickly followed, and by 1995 we already had the Evo 3. A new body shell heralded the arrival of Evo 4, and by then a fervent cult of supporters had developed, eagerly awaiting each new development of the car. In January '98 we had the Evo 5, and a year later the Evo 6. Years of adapting to the harsh environments of the World Rally Championship have seen it take 4 drivers' titles in the last 5 years, and this year the Evo VI once again leads the way. To its loyal followers, the only possible rival could be its successor.
Well, the next phenomenon is here. Tommy Mackinnon won't get his new company car until the middle of the year, but we've got it now.
It seemed impossible to develop the Evo VI any further, so the Mitsubishi boffins switched to a body shell based on the Lancer Evolution, but we shall know it as Evo VII. Theory says that the breed should be improved again. If it isn't, then Darwin will be spinning in his grave. The car may be slightly bigger, but the first thing that strikes you is that the brutal looks have been somewhat diluted. But the driving experience certainly hasn't.
Well, on first impressions, the 7 is just as much fun as the 6. These cars are all about the survival of the fittest. Their performance is staggering. 60 comes up in about 4.5 seconds. Now, this Evo VII has got no more power than the 4, 5 and the 6. They've all had 280 bhp, but it has got a bit more torque low down, so it'll pull out of corners at lower revs. And I've now got this new active differential with 3 settings for tarmac, gravel or snow.
If you're tempted, then Mitsubishi dealers will have them in September, but Gray importers are offering them right here, right now, for about £27,500. Of course, the Evo VII isn't the only Japanese four-door saloon that's been quietly evolving, because its old rallying nemesis, the Subaru Impreza, never lets it get ahead.
And their latest 280 horsepower WRX STi is due here at the end of the year. If you want one before that, you'll have to go grey. In these wet conditions on a racetrack, it really is hard to pick a winner between the two. But I certainly feel I've moved upper class in this Subaru cabin. I much prefer the dials, the trim levels are a much more quality feel about them. And I just love looking out over that famous Subaru power bulge. No active differential to play with, but a 6-speed gearbox which slots home really neatly, and the same 4-wheel drive, rally-inspired, awesome grip levels. The Subaru tends to understeer a little bit more than the Mitsubishi. It's not quite so sharp. But of course, if you go left and then right, it'll go sideways.
The WRX STi does cost around £2,500 more than the Evo VII, and I look forward to a full test when the official imports arrive.
But on first impressions, I'll take the Subaru.
Dear Miss Butler-Henderson,
It has come to my attention that your petrol claims are well in excess of that
which one would come to expect from a reasonable car user.
The situation cannot continue for much longer, or Top Gear will be well over budget again. Less extravagance.
More miles a gallon. Kind regards, William Howarth, Business Manager.
That's easy for a chauffeur-driven suit to say. I don't see the point in all that economy business myself. But manufacturers are always banging on about MPG figures. But what do they mean? Does anyone understand them? And how do they actually get those figures? Well, like this, actually. Here at MIRA, the official emissions lab, they follow the standard European fuel consumption test procedure. The car is driven on a rolling road to simulate urban and extra-urban driving, and after 19 minutes of idling, acceleration, steady speed and deceleration, the exhaust gases are analysed, and from this data, the fuel consumption is calculated. Manufacturers are helping to give us more eco-friendly miles per pound. Toyota and Honda have their hybrids. And now Vauxhall have introduced a new, greener, environmentally friendly, kinder to rabbits Astra, the Eco 4. At £13,000, it's the same price as this 1.7-litre turbo diesel. But the Eco 4 has got an aerodynamic under tray, longer gear ratios, higher profile tyres and a boot spoiler, which all help boost the fuel economy figure to 64.2 miles to the gallon, which is 6 more than the turbo diesel. Now, those results are all well and good for a lab test, but what about on the road? Can your average driver hope to match those figures? Dear William, I have never been average. So, with our careful bean counter's help, will we be able to match the official figure? Looking at his driving style, I think it could be his first time out of the office. Only joking, William. First, the urban cycle. And our man is giving the Astra a hard time on the typical commuter route. Oh, easy does it, my boy. By the time the Eco Diesel had put in some dual carriageway work and snaked down some country lanes, it was time to do the maths. At the end of our test, the Astra managed 55 mpg. Not bad, but that's 9 miles to the gallon short of Vauxhall's figure. So, are the manufacturer's claims attainable? Well, if you read the small print, it says driving style, road and traffic conditions may affect fuel consumption. So, no guarantees. Now, our test wasn't exactly scientific, but there are steps that you can take to improve your car's fuel economy, Eco 4 engine or not. William, this is for you. Number 1, keep a close eye on your tyre pressures. Make sure your car's regularly serviced. And switch off your air conditioning when you don't need it because it saps power. Step 4, keep windows and sunroofs closed because when they're open, they increase drag. Don't brake and accelerate heavily. Boring. Try not to overload the car. And plan your route to avoid busy areas. According to the RAC, at any one time, 16% of drivers in London are lost. The other 84% just drive like they are. Drive at a constant, slowish speed over humps. Accelerating and decelerating hard increases emissions by 5 times. Sounds obvious? Shop around for cheaper fuel, but don't undo your good work by making a special journey to do this.
Well done. As a result of your cost-saving suggestions, I will be cutting Top Gear's fuel budget by 20%.
On Top Gear next week, The Price is Right. New cars for less money. Volkswagen goes back to basics, the Lupo GTI. And the world's worst Sunday drivers. Entry-level rallycross.